Welcome to Reach the World ASAP. My name is Pastor Scott Griswold, working with ASAP Ministries. A long time ago, a little 7-month-old girl was yanked from her hammock in the middle of the jungles in Laos. Her parents ran with her into the jungles because of the people who were coming to try to kill them. You see, the Hmong group was at danger from the majority group. And there they had to hide as she grew up at nighttime trying to cook a little something and then sleeping and hiding during the day. Eventually, her parents were killed, and other family members had to watch over her. Finally, as she grew older, they decided they would try to get across the Mekong River and into the country of Thailand, where they could join other refugees and hopefully be resettled in the United States of America. The problem was, little Blia did not know how to swim. So how to get her across? They would have to tie her to one of the men who could swim. Well, it wasn't just her. There were 4 children that were roped in to try to get across with him at the season where the river was flooding and it was very dangerous. As they began to swim across, they got about halfway when finally the young man, exhausted, said, "I'm going to have to cut you loose and hopefully you can float on across." They had bamboo poles that they were holding on to. Well, Blia was scared, and as they began to float away, they were floating not to Thailand, but back to Laos. At that moment, she cried out to the only one she'd been taught to cry to when there was real big trouble, and that was Father God in the sky, or owner of the sky. As she cried out, "Sky, sky, help me," she began to drift instead towards Thailand, and they were able to climb out of the edge and get into those refugee camps. Time passed, and finally she ended up in Madison, there in Wisconsin, where the rest of her story you'll have to read in the newest magazine, June 2016, of Adventist World, and see how she became a Seventh-day Adventist through Terry C. Lee, who's the director of Adventist Refugee and Immigrant Ministries. The reason I'm sharing with you a story straight out of the magazine is because we are coming up on World Refugee Day. It'll be on Sabbath, June 18. And I believe that you and I can make a difference in our local churches by sharing what is going on, not only the plight, but the good thing that Seventh-day Adventists are doing. So what is happening? What is going on? Well, as it talks about why we should have a World Refugee Day, Elder Ben Schoen shares how every minute, 8 new refugees come into being. That means they're fleeing for some region, political, religious, whatever it is, and they have to go out. In countries like South Sudan, Central African Republic, Northeastern Nigeria, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Somalia, Ukraine, Iraq, and of course, most recently, Syria. The huge, huge problem of 4.8 million refugees that have come out of Syria. We get a little feel through Blia's story what it's like. But there's so much more to see. The exciting thing is that the church is helping. We have the Trans-European Division and the Intra-European Division that are the 2 major spots where all these refugees are pouring into Europe that are helping in significant ways. Of course, ADRA, Adventist Development Relief Agency, is majorly involved. There's an article called "In the Trenches," where no human being is illegal. Pictures of men and women and children that are making this journey, this disastrous, scary, but sometimes life-saving journey. Here's from Amir, where he says, "I'm from Afghanistan, and I want to go to Germany. I've been traveling with my family and a friend for a month now. First we traveled by car, then by bus and boats, and now we're on the train. We were lucky to have a real boat. The boat was crowded with 65 people, but the sea was calm, so we arrived safely. On the way, we heard rumors that it's possible we'll not be able to stay in Germany. We'll be forced to go back to Afghanistan. But for a chance of a better life, we are prepared to take that risk." Maybe you've seen those pictures of the boats turning over on the side just recently with 7 people drowning while the rescue ship was trying to pull in everybody else. And it's beautiful to see what God's people are doing in response to individuals like this young man who said, when asked, "Why did you leave your country?" he said, "I had 2 options, kill or be killed. I just want to finish school and live." This is the reality for many of them and the great struggle. The leader there, the director for ADRA Slovenia, she said, "During the past 6 months of working with refugees, I have not encountered even one for whom Jesus did not die." These are precious people, and each of them deserve our respect, our love, and our care. There's articles in here about the trauma that they go through, the post-stress traumatic disorder, articles about refugee children. What is it like for them to go through this experience, the most vulnerable victims of the violence and the dislocation? But what I'm again fascinated by is those who are trying to make a difference. For instance, those at Newbold College. They're in England. They have a certain policy, and they're waiting to carefully vet the people who are coming in. And they're over across the way. They're in France, Dunkirk, France. But teachers and students get up every Sunday morning at 4 a.m. and do a round trip of 8 hours and then work hard to care for the people, providing fresh fruit, cooking food for them, praying for them, giving them hope and encouragement. What a gift they are giving in the midst of their busy schedules. Then over in Sweden, we have Adventists who were there carefully welcoming the refugees with open arms. In fact, one little church welcomed 100 refugees, and they decided to offer them Swedish language lessons, classes in Swedish culture, took them on walks through the forest, free clothing from a shop. They just were reaching out, caring for those Syrians, Afghanis, Iraqis, and others. Then winter began to come. So they collected warm clothing and skis and gave them skiing lessons and helped them get adjusted. Their Pathfinder Club is swelling. Their church is swelling. At first, they just really held the church at a distance because they're Muslims and these are Christians who are caring. But the warmth and the love is opening up the hearts that they can now discuss the things of God that really matter. So what can you do? Well, I'm sharing with you now because I believe that you and I, if we will, can get this magazine and look things up. It tells us right where to go there. If you go to adventistworld.org, you will find it. But there's a place right here that takes you to the information where you can download and print out posters, handouts, different things, inserts into the bulletin, and put together a little program. There's a great 6-minute video you can show in your church that will help people to feel the plight of the refugees. And by making them aware of it, people will be able to give. They can give at adra.org/refugees. You can give at asapministries.org as we work among refugees as well. And you can find out how to care for them as they move to your country at reachtheworldnextdoor.com, the website where we put together a kit to show us how we can love, how we can hear their stories, how we can welcome them, so that people like little Blia, who have risked their lives to find safety, can come to know the owner of the sky, the God who loves them. Will you pick it up? Will you do all you can? This June 18, together, let's reach the world ASAP.